Let's bring in Kayleigh McEnany. She is the White House press secretary. Good morning to you, Kayleigh.
Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. I want to talk to you about that. What do you make of the timing of this, the tax thing coming out, a day before the debate, and how is he preparing for the debate?
Yeah, we've seen this play out before, where there was a hit piece about the president's taxes just before a debate, an accurate one at that. This is the same playbook they tried in 2016, the same playbook that the American people rejected, and will do so again. So the president's focused on the issues. He's focused on the American people right now, bringing back the economy, a V-shaped recovery that's looking more like a super V, working through COVID, breaking through barriers as we aim to get a vaccine by the end of the year, fastest rate in history. So that's what this president's focused on, and his results tell the story, which will make it a debate that is quite easy when you have so many accomplishments to share.
So I saw Chris Christie there. Well, we heard his voice. We saw him walk out, and Rudy Giuliani and you, and it says the three of you have helped get the president ready. And the president was kind of vague on how many hours he put in and what it was like. Would you want to expand on that a little bit? Have you been studying Joe Biden and brought that angle to the president? Have the president focused on any category in particular, from the virus to his own record to race, the riots in the Supreme Court? Did you break it up into categories and approach it that way?
Well, the president went through a number of topics during his preparation yesterday, but as he has said vocally and publicly, his debate prep happens each and every day when he is at that podium taking questions, vicious questions at that, unfair questions from a media that's very biased. When he goes to the plane and he gaggles on the way there and on the way back, he takes more questions than any president in history. He's very transparent, unlike Joe Biden, who really has been hiding away.
Well, we know from the Democrats, who were very effective in 2018, regaining the majority in the House, that when you run on simply Republicans are going to take your health care if they win, the Democrats won. They're using that same playbook this time with the president and with the president's pick for the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett. Don't trust me, just watch for yourself.
President Trump sees a chance to fulfill his explicit mission, steal away the vital protections of the ACA from countless families.
What I am concerned about is anyone that President Trump would have appointed was there to undo the Affordable Care Act.
And if she gets on the court, it's a virtual certainty that over 150 million Americans' health care will be hurt dramatically.
It's very clear from her writings, multiple writings, that she will be the vote that takes away health care for millions of Americans.
You got to figure Joe Biden's going to say that. And we know that during the debate prep, the president, according to Axios, has been using flashcards. What are like your 3 bullet points on answering that if she's in, so many people's health care is out?
Well, let me say this first and disentangle this issue. One, the president would never ask his nominee to prejudge a case. So he would never ask Amy Coney Barrett or any of his nominees to look at a case and tell him how they would come down. That aside, what I can say about the president and health care is his record says it all. When you really dig into this, and I understand the Democrats may not be looking at the president's health care record because they want to deny this is the health care president. They don't want to bring to light what happened with Obamacare. The facts bear out that under Obamacare from 2013 to 2017, premiums were going up. Drug costs were going up. President Trump comes in 2017 on, premiums come down. Drug costs come down for the first time in 50 years. And you had healthcare monopolies in a lot of these states, these exchanges, with one single Obamacare plan. President Trump has expanded choice, and he's done this by dismantling Obamacare and bringing us better, more affordable healthcare.
I want to ask you about this writer for Vanity Fair. This is what she tweeted out. She said, talking about Amy Coney Barrett. She said, I guess one of the things I don't understand about Amy Coney Barrett is how a potential Supreme Court justice can also be a loving, present mom to 7 kids. Is this like the Kardashians stuffing nannies in the closet and pretending that they have drawn their own baths for their children? I don't know about you, Kayleigh, but most of us work not only because we love our jobs, but we have to. We have to put food on the table and provide a roof over the heads for our children. And is she suggesting that you can't be a professional woman and an effective mother?
Yes, she is. What a disgusting attack on working moms all across this country. Yes, you can do both. You can have a career and be a mother. I was with my 10-month-old late last night, and then I showed up here in the morning to work, and there's no better example of being a working mom than Amy Coney Barrett, who has 7 kids, 2 of whom she adopted, and has a brilliant history of jurisprudence at Notre Dame Law School and then on the bench. That's an attack not just on Amy Coney Barrett, it's an attack on suburban moms across America, working moms across America.
So we look at all different scenarios with this election because it's supposed to be so close, and with all these mail-in ballots unsolicited in some states like New Jersey and Pennsylvania, we don't know how this is going to come out. But it could be so close, if for the first time in over 100 years, it could be kicked to the House. And this is what the Speaker said to House Democrats, quote, "The Constitution says that a candidate must receive a majority of the state delegations to win. We must achieve that majority of delegations or keep the Republicans from doing so. It's sad we have to plan this way, but it's what we must do to ensure the election is not stolen." Your reaction?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Of course, Nancy Pelosi wants this to play out. She knows the only way she can win is by manipulating the election with these mail-in ballots, because the president's record stands for itself and the American people recognize it. But, you know, this is really troubling, Brian, when you find 7 ballots in a ditch that were Trump ballots that were just cast aside. That was in Pennsylvania. There was another episode in Wisconsin of absentee ballots that were not delivered. This is happening across the country, and Democrats need to get their act together in these states that are doing mass mail-out voting, because ballots languishing in trash cans, which is what we saw in Nevada's primary, is not an acceptable and tenable way to do an election.
We know you've got a very busy week there at the White House in Cleveland and elsewhere. So, Kayleigh, thank you very much for spending a little of your Monday with us here at Fox and Friends.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right.